what's up? It's me, Yemmy the Ferret, here with another episode of YemmyCast, a video game podcast on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for coming around to this episode of YemmyCast. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. 9:30 a.m. is the premiere of this episode on Sunday. If you want to, you can check out the Wednesday episodes as well. Those are at those premiere at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. So if you want to, you can check those out. Those usually have more news, video game news, while on the weekends we usually do one or so news stories and maybe have a guest on or some fun game. But this week we have a interview with an old friend of the channel, Maztech Gaming, one of the first people who I watched streaming on YouTube. A good friend of the channel, a very helpful dude. If you want to, you can check out that interview coming up very soon. We talk about Mixer versus Twitch and YouTube. We also talk about the changes coming to his channel and have already been enacted on his channel. Also, we talk about Bethesda and the future of their development studio and the future of the Fallout franchise. So make sure you check that out. That'll be starting in a little bit. But yeah, thank you for watching this episode or listening to this episode. It's always a pleasure having you around. If you're here for the premiere, I really appreciate you because you, the true OG Ferret Nation fans. Yee. Sue woo. And yeah, I think that's it for the intro. We're going a little old school today. We have no webcam for either of us. Just going a little old school on this one, and hopefully you guys enjoy it nonetheless. I hope to see you guys in the next episode of YemmyCast, and for now, let's listen to this conversation that I had with Maztech Gaming. And now, joining us on the podcast for the first time on the YemmyCast, he's a veteran of the old podcast called the Ferret Business Podcast. He's a big streamer. He's playing in lots of Fallout, Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, 3 main games right now. It's Maztech Gaming. What is up?
Hey, Yemmy. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, not a single problem. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. It's just been a lazy Sunday.
I hear you.
So, Mazzy Wazzy, he's Maztech_gaming on Mixer. And if you want to, you can check him out on YouTube as well. I don't think you're not streaming on YouTube anymore, but you said you were going to do some recorded videos on there still?
Yeah, that'll be my pre-recorded channel moving forward. I was actually, if you go back to when I first started streaming, which was March 2018, they were really pushing YouTube gaming as a streaming platform to rival Twitch or to keep people from going to Twitch. And we had some good success there, but then they, with Twitch getting their success anyway, it seemed that it didn't make good business sense for YouTube to keep their YouTube gaming platform, and they really kind of pulled back on the exposure that streamers were getting. Especially, I moved over to streaming initially to try it out as one of the means to get the 4,000 hours of watch time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they deep sixed when they got rid of Google Plus and got rid of the YouTube gaming, they kind of pulled back on all exposure. So it looks like they've kind of gone back with the algorithm of doing pre-recorded instead of streaming. And it's kind of hard to tell what the platform's thinking because really it's all AI driven. There's no human intervention when it comes to decision and ranking and everything like that, and it's constantly changing, so you're never going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was going to mention let's see, so the first time you were on my other podcast, you had just gotten monetization on YouTube. Mm-hmm. You were pretty happy about that. And then the second time you came on was after Twitch. You had stopped using Twitch, and you're going back to YouTube. And now you're on the podcast once again, and you're going over to Mixer, which is... you decided that before Ninja went over the Mixer, so I don't want people to get be like, oh, he's just following Ninja. No, Maz decided to go to Mixer beforehand, and he was actually already doing co-streams where he was streaming on Mixer and YouTube at the same time, trying to get people over to his Mixer account. But
right.
What is the reason that you went over to Mixer?
Well, it goes back to thinking about the algorithm on the platform and whatnot. Now, emotionally speaking, it's kind of you get frustrated when you don't see the growth that you hope to. And sometimes that plays a factor, but when you stop and think about it, because I'm at the end of the day, even though I tend to spout off just kind of what's on my mind, I'm a very direct, transparent person. I don't like to sugarcoat anything. I just I call it as I see it. And you either love me or you hate me for it. There's zero gray. But the thing is, when you stop and look at the numbers don't lie. Everything points to, I mean, there are plenty of other creators that were doing streams as well that have gone over to pre-records and have had some tremendous success doing that. Mm-hmm. But the problem with that is it doesn't include the streaming anymore. So everything kind of points towards gravitating back over to pre-records, long pre-records, good retention time. So when you look at things like that, and I was doing the restream for a month. I did YouTube and Mixer together, and I gained in those 4 weeks 265 followers on Mixer, and gained negative 15 subscribers on YouTube, doing the exact same stream on the exact same time with the exact same stream key. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a conviction on YouTube, when it comes to what their message is. It's they don't want the streaming. Some people have tremendous success still streaming on YouTube, but it's funny when you go over and you see somebody with 500 followers or 500 subscribers on YouTube, and they're streaming, and they have 30 people in their stream. And then maybe the next week you go over and you watch that same streamer on Twitch or on Mixer, more likely Twitch in this particular case, and they've got 70 people watching them play the same game. Mm-hmm. It definitely, it's an eye-opener right there. Plus the numbers show everything. I've got a No Man's Sky tutorial video out there that just broke 18,000 views. It had 16,000 3 days ago. Wow. It's all about the pre-record. It's all about the searchability. And let's think about replay value. I know that you've come to my streams. I come to your streams. How many of my streams have you watched, Yemmy, after it's been live recorded?
Yeah, I would say it's a big fat zero, man.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's one of those things that streams are designed for live interaction.
Yeah.
And pre-records are for replay. Let's be comedic videos or informational videos, let's play videos, how-to videos, do-it-yourself videos, repair videos, or even simple, trophy guide tutorials. Mm-hmm. Those are things that have more replay value because it's not meant to be live interaction. And I think that's what Google, well, I can say Google because it is Google.
Yeah.
Google and YouTube do together are looking for something that has more sticky replay value, something that people can go back and watch over and over again. I mean, think about what does the Fox say? That has hundreds of millions of views on it. Yeah. Well, that's not hundreds of millions of people watching it. That's maybe 15, 20 million people watching it multiple times. So there's no replay value for streams. Go to Mixer, and your streams will stay up for 2 weeks, and then they're gone. Mm-hmm. So I think you kind of muck things up on YouTube when you're flooding all your hard work on the platform with your pre-records by burying it with videos that people aren't really going to rewatch. Some people will. I mean, if you've got, once you get big enough, some people will rewatch. I could probably count on one hand how many people watch a stream after it's been recorded. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not one of those people that rewatches streams. Yeah. I'll go on and drop a like and leave a comment because that helps with engagement every once in a while. But to be honest with you, that's not my cup of tea. And I don't really know many people that would be like, yeah, I'd definitely go back and watch every second of your stream after it's been recorded.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who follow the bigger YouTubers, and they're all for the going back and watching streams again, whether it's Ninja or whoever it would mm-hmm. be. I just, same way. I like the interaction is too much fun when you're just doing it live. It's hard
Oh,
to
absolutely.
sit through an hour-long stream when it's like, well, I could be listening to an hour-long podcast, or I could be watching this hour-long commentary video about Boogie 2988. It's like, which one would entertain me more? And I think going back and watching the stream would be the least entertaining thing personally for me.
I agree.
That's why I've been working more so to get highlight videos out there. Even though I'll keep the full streams up, I'm working towards putting out more highlight videos so that the juiciest parts of the stream get put to the forefront, and you don't have to search through a 2 hour long stream to find one good joke.
Exactly, exactly. And that's really the way that it is nowadays. We want instant gratification. Instant gratification with a live stream is when it's live.
Yeah.
If you want to look for a certain funny moment or anything like that, nobody's going through a 3-4 hour video to find that. So I completely agree with you on that.
So here's a question. Why did you go to Mixer instead of Twitch?
So it's funny. I came back to YouTube initially, and I spent 10 weeks on Twitch, and I really actually enjoyed it. I liked its functionality as a streamer. I'm gonna talk about two parts here. Streamer, it's got great functionality, good community. I would give the community a B in terms of streamer community. I love the raid system now. When you're streaming on YouTube and you're like, hey, let's go do a raid, you gotta find the person's link, and then you gotta hope that they go, that people click on the link,
Yeah.
or hope that they click on the link and it actually works and goes over to the stream to do a raid. But there are a couple different things. Is the lurkers. I'm a very interactive streamer. The reason why I stream is for that interaction and conversation. There are times when I miss comments because our chat moves pretty fast from time to time. And I actually kind of like that because it keeps me talking, because one of the biggest rules as a streamer is to keep talking, whether you have 100 people in your stream or you have 0 people in your stream. You just keep yakking. So that helps me move it along, and throughout my corny dad joke comments and whatnot on my streams. But at the same time, if you have lurkers, the first thing that goes through my mind is, how about I just do this by myself offline, because I'm having the same type of conversation. And I'm talking, you have 25, 30 people in your stream and nobody's talking. It's kind of like, well, what's going on?
Might as well just be bots,
Exactly. So one thing that's one of the reasons why that was the reason why I came back to YouTube, or the number one determining reason as a streamer. As a consumer or an end user, I got a lot of complaints of the chat being clunky, the functionality of the app, doing nothing but buffering and everything like that. I just heard that too many times. And our community, my community that I'm talking about here, the one that I grew on YouTube, a lot of people followed me over to Twitch, and we've met some really great people over on Twitch that are still part of our community today. They weren't getting along with the app and its functionality. A lot of people kind of deterred from that. Now, Twitch over the past 6 months has kind of had a negative connotation anyway, as far as how they run their business and everything like that. And, I think Ninja moving over to Mixer, it's not just a buyout from Microsoft, but that's a direct conviction of how Twitch treats their top talent. I mean, you don't let your top talent leave like that. Mm-hmm. That's kind of almost like a nonverbal, if you leave, then we'll just have somebody replace you tomorrow type attitude. You know what? Nobody wants to feel, disposable. I mean, you want to feel like you're a linchpin. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are God's gift to anything, but you still want to feel important. But it meant a lot to me that our viewers, even though they were having problems with the functionality, they still tried to tune in. And at that point, it was kind of like, with the way that things are growing, and I'm not complaining about growth, because we did end up getting 320 followers in 10 weeks on Twitch. That's not too bad. And I haven't really been on Twitch since then, but people complaining about its functionality. The okay, not a lot of, I didn't meet a lot of streamers that were super engaged over there. I thought it was time for me to go back to YouTube because they were getting a lot of requests to do that and everything like that. But so that's why I chose Mixer this time. Mixer has been it's been around for a while. It just hasn't gotten any traction. And so I was like, you know what? If you don't have a lot of traction, it's still being used. I mean, you still have millions of users, and it's integrated into their Xbox. They have plans to integrate it into their next Xbox. Why not get on now as an unknown in terms of being able to grow?
Yeah,
it's like, let's give it a shot, So one thing I want to do is make sure that I've got my YouTube community that's very well aware. Because if you remember last year when I went to Twitch, it was I'm going to Twitch. See you later.
Yeah,
and that was the end. It was like flipping a switch. And I don't think as much as my community stuck with me and was very supportive, I really don't think that they appreciated that. And I get that, I think a lot of people were, I don't want to say hurt because come on, but I think they were kind of like, well, whatever, kind of like, well, that's kind of a dick move. So I wanted to make sure I was doing it correctly this time. I watched my buddy, this old Planeswalker, Nilet Inc., over on Mixer, and watched him for a couple of streams, just kind of sitting back and paying attention, messing around with the functionality. What does this button do? Oh, that's shiny. What does that do? Just kind of messing with the thing and really not wondering what it was, other than just if I push the if then statement of a 5-year-old. Oh, to push this button. Oh, look at that lights up. So it was what I was kind of working with, but paying attention to how well I could hear Nilet, how clear he was, how often it buffered. I would watch him on Wi-Fi. I would purposely switch over to data to see how the app reacted. And then I also noticed, so I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And I also noticed when I started streaming, they have this thing called FTL over there, which is faster than light latency. I'm like, well, what the hell is that thing? So I'm looking that up. You can stream in real time over there. You can't call it real time, but it's the damn fastest thing you're going to find in real time. The delay between what you're doing in the game on your computer actually, and the amount of time it takes for your consumer to see it or your viewer to see it is going to take less than 1 second for that to push over. And I think that's phenomenal. That's a huge selling point for me because I try to be as interactive as possible. I like to open my gameplay to everybody. If you have suggestions, you want me to go back, you want me to go do this, you want me to go do that, speak up. Well, it's hard to do that when you're on YouTube or on Twitch, and somebody's like, oh, you missed that turn, go back for a second. 20 seconds later, oh, okay, you want me to go, well, where's that? Because we've gone past 19 different lefts since you said that.
Right.
So, but with FTL, if you say it, I just passed that. It's easy to turn around and go right back. So that's a huge selling point. We used Restream to move our supporters over to Mixer. I will tell you, 95% of them welcomed Mixer with open arms, just because of the functionality. The Spark system is neat because one thing that I don't stream up for is for donations. And a lot of people ask how to donate, or they say, oh, I'm sorry, I really can't donate. And my response is always, your time is always the best type of donation. Seriously, I honestly mean that. It sounds cheesy, it sounds cringe, it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Because I can give you a $5 donation. I'll make that in within the hour at work. I give you 2 hours of my time. There's no earning that back. So that's the most important thing. But the people that do feel bad and insist on donating can donate Sparks. I mean, I'm not monetized on Mixer right now. I'm not in a rush on that. I'm really focused on the growth of our community and building up our Discord. That's my number one focus right now. But if you want to donate to somebody and you don't have the money, the Sparks do help a monetized Mixer streamer. So that's always nice. It makes people happy that they can do that. And the stickers are kind of cool. It's kind of a really neat system. And then you got a ranking or who has given the most the most sparks. And then, of course, if you want to donate the actual money, they've got embers there, which are worth, one ember equals 1 cent. So, I mean, it's kind of a blatant ripoff of a certain other streaming system, but a streaming platform, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We call them bits and then they call them embers. Great. I got it. But it's just been a really overall positive experience. And I actually lucked out because a week later, Ninja moves over, and then all of a sudden, Mixer becomes the #1 downloaded app on the App Store. So it just happened to be the right time. We moved up. We moved up our timetable to a month. So we did a month of streaming on YouTube and Mixer together. And then we went ahead and cut it with YouTube, and here we are on Mixer, and I'm much happier. Right now, it's trying to figure out how to integrate what I'm doing on Mixer and what I'm going to do on YouTube together time-wise. I'm at the point right now where I'm so spread thin with extra time that I don't even know when I'm going to be able to do pre-recorded videos, but that's the very, very long-winded reason as to why I went to Mixer.
Yeah, it's the way you did it, I think, was the perfect way to do it, because you gave the people who maybe are, loyal to YouTube the chance to, hey, try out Mixer and come over here if you really want to follow me. And the people who didn't, of course they don't, but the people who do are the people who are friends, listeners, true fans of your content. So I think the way you did it is great. And I mean, of course, I've been after you started using Restream, I kind of wanted to see if I could stretch out my feelers into those areas too. So you're part of the reason why I started doing Mixer, YouTube, and Twitch at the same time, just to kind of see, cool. What platform do people want the most, and what platform gets the most stuff. Of course, YouTube, that's the home base, meaning, people who watch me on YouTube have watched me on YouTube since the beginning, and they don't want to move. I tried out Twitch too a while back. And like the first day I streamed on there, 7-10 people were in stream at the same time. It was fun. And then weeks after that, I had 0 for weeks on end. And I was like, okay, well, I get the point. I'll go back to YouTube. Right. So I think I'm gonna leave it this way for a while, because it's not like I'm not brand loyal. Like, I'm not loyal to YouTube. Like, I go over the Mixer and Twitch all the time just to watch stuff. The only reason I started on YouTube was because back in the day, that was the only platform that was there to put your content on. So on my old channel, that was it. I was uploading videos of myself talking in front of a camera, and they would upload, and they would get like 20 views, and I'd be like, yes, massive success here. Nowadays, numbers a little bit more stagnant, subscribers a little bit more stagnant, but I'm still having the same amount of fun on YouTube, even though some things have changed with it as well.
That's the most important thing right there. And that's one of the things that, I'm not hiding or sugarcoating anything. Like I said, one thing that I really lost sight of for a while was kind of pushing through the pain, even though I clearly wasn't having fun anymore. And I think that kind of traveled into the tonality that I presented in my streams. And I think that had a very negative impact on my channel. Fortunately, I have some very, very loyal viewers that kind of stuck with me, and even had some people, Yemmy the ferret, say, hey, get your head out of your ass and just fucking have fun. I'm sorry about that cough, by the way. It almost sounded like I said Yemmy the ferret there. And I do appreciate that, because it puts things into perspective. We do this because we want to have a good time. And if you lose sight of that, then you shouldn't do it. And I said that a year ago when we sat down and talked for the first time, and I lost sight of that. So, and I did take some time off. We've got some things going on in my personal life that really made me feel like I needed to take some time off, and we got through that. And now we're back and having nothing but a blast.
Yeah, the story I like to bring up to a lot of people is I think it was either Discord or Twitch. I was talking to someone. They were talking about streaming. And the order that they listed their items was, I gotta set up my Patreon, I gotta set up my donation link, I gotta get my stream working, and it's like you're starting with the wrong things there. You need to do, like, I know it's hard for a lot of people to grasp, but YouTube isn't a moneymaker, Mixer isn't a moneymaker, Twitch isn't a moneymaker until you get to the numbers that Ninja, Tfue, PewDiePie, etc., have. Until then, you need to focus on yourself, doing it for fun, and also not worrying about the numbers or money, because in the end, to me, it's just a hobby. And to you, I know it's just, you've already explained it's a fun time, interaction with people. A
Right.
lot of people miss that, and then they start their journey on whatever platform, and they go, well, this sucks. I'm not making any money. It's like, well,
Right. And I know a few people that are like that as well. The first thing I wanted to do, so I never had any intention ever of streaming on YouTube or ever. It wasn't my thing. Can't stand my own voice. Actually, probably the first 20 videos that I ever made on YouTube, like at the bottom of my channel, are all text-based videos because I cannot
all right,
stand
everyone
my
go
own
look at
voice.
those right now.
Right. And well, they're tutorial videos, so if you're not playing Assassin's Creed Origins right now, you're wasting your time. But at the same time, I kind of got into it with the crowd that was, kind of got forced into it with the. If you wanted to get your 4,000 hours of watch time. Now, I'm not saying that I wanted to get monetized for the sake of getting monetized. I wanted to get monetized because I thought that if you were monetized, you'd rank better, because it kind of seemed that was the way. And really, the only thing that I wanted to be at that point was well known and to make an impact. So the first thing that I ever focused on, besides my content, was coming up with a good logo and a good brand and maybe even a slogan. And that's something that I focused on. I actually was 3 months into streaming when I even thought about putting a Streamlabs on or a Patreon, and the only reason why I did that in the first place was because I had people asking me and insisting that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't even a thought at first. My number one, and it's still my number one goal right now, besides having fun and having the good interaction, is growth. I want to do this as a career someday, like as a full-time, full-blown career. Like when I grow up, I want to be a streamer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at it that way, you can't look at it financially. I'm not going to divulge what I do make on YouTube on a monthly basis because I think that's inappropriate. But a lot of streamers will tell you they don't stream for the money, and some of them really do. And it's hard to believe it when people say stuff like that. Who doesn't want money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I moved to a platform that I'm not monetized on, and walking away from what I'm making on YouTube because I want to grow and want to be somebody. I want to be able to make an impact. There are plenty of people on Discord that I speak to on a personal level that, some people are really sad and have some troubles in their lives and whatnot. And to be able to make an impact and just be able to hear them out, that's kind of cool. This is a real community. These are real people. And if you allow yourself to be known, then they'll let you know them as well. So it's always been about growth and building a loyal following. Money will take care of itself later. If you do a good job and you grow, then you can have people say, "Hey, you know what? Try out my game. I'll give you a free key. I'll give you a free key and 3 more keys that you can give away in your stream if you want to." Or, hey, you know what? If you use this brand of headphones, we'll give you the free headphones, and we'll give you the headphones for free, and we'll give you about $1,500 a month. I'm making it up. That's how you make your money. You don't make your money off of your viewers and whatnot. Who cares about the Patreon? Who cares about the Streamlabs? That's for people that insist on donating. I'm not looking at that. I'm not trying to make money off of my viewers. I'm trying to grow my channel. I'm not trying to make money at all at this point. I actually put a donation bar up in my stream the past couple of days, and all I did was look at it every time I looked at my OBS while I was live. And every single time I'd think, that really doesn't belong there. That's not my style. Then I'd go back and I'd talk to chat and I'd be playing the game and I'd look over to see how my levels were and everything like that with my OBS. And I'm like, that right there, that doesn't really belong there. That's not my style. So I finally got rid of it. But it's more about having fun and growing.
Right.
Nobody streams to not grow. I mean, obviously, let's be honest.
Yeah, and really the same thing kind of happened. Like I switched from regular OBS to Streamlabs again,
Mhm.
and I still had the donation ticker on. And for one stream, it was going, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't feel right," because I have not used that donation ticker since a year ago now.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it? It just feels. I want to say it feels icky.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right. And I've had people say, "Well, try it." My wife said, "Try it." I've had some people that I speak to on a daily basis say, "Well, give it a shot, see what it does." And I tried it, and it's like, I even tried moving it to a different part of the screen. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I got an answer. I know how to make it look perfect. Delete. So that will never be on my stream again. It's just something I hadn't tried it. And when you're a small streamer or any size streamer, you're always going to want to try new things. Some things are going to work out well, and you'll be like, "Wow, man, I'm really glad I did that. I didn't even think of that about that until now." And some are going to be like, this is not a fit for our channel's message or our tone." So, but yeah, if you're thinking about getting into streaming, just know that it's exceptionally hard to get noticed. It's easy to stream. You might get nervous when you first start because you're doing different things. You're going to wonder how people are going to react to you. You're going to wonder if people are even going to find you or show up. But it's so much fun, and it's so worth it. But I will give the bit of advice that do not ever go in there with dollar signs in your eyes to start out, because your tone, and if you got a webcam, your body language is going to show that, your tone's going to show that, and your attitude is going to show that.
Yeah, exactly.
Never ask for donations. They come organically, and when people want to. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that would be my bit of advice when it comes to how to set up a stream or anything like that. To your point, you saying that story. Oh, I got to set up my Patreon. I got to set up my Streamlabs. That's an afterthought. An afterthought so much is like wait a couple of months before you even really get into that.
Right. All right. Well, hey, remember, guys, if you want to check out Maz, he is at MazTech Gaming on Twitter, at MazTech_gaming on Mixer, and he's also MazTech Gaming on YouTube as well. Very knowledgeable, very genuine too. Like if you need help on something, he'll DM you. He'll talk in DMs with you. He's a really cool guy. If you want to, you can check him out. Maz, it's time to talk about the games you play, because
Sure.
Bethesda is one of those companies that you kind of grew your YouTube channel on, right? The Fallout series, Skyrim.
Oh yeah.
Recently, Bethesda has been looked down upon, frowned at, mostly because of the backlash from Fallout 76. And I was just wondering, where do you think Bethesda is going in the future here? We already have Outer Worlds coming out, which is by the same company that did Fallout New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Bethesda is going to be able to live in a world where there are two companies making Fallout type games?
I think so. To be honest with you. Excuse me. I think so. I think really what Bethesda has done, it's kind of like we've seen both sides of Bethesda now. And it's all about good timing and poor timing and everything like that. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Poor timing being Fallout 76 being released November 14, 2018. That really should have been a May 2019 game, mid to late second quarter. It was exceptionally buggy. I played it, during the beta. I streamed it. I stopped streaming it though because I kept getting timed out. It would get kicked off the server, and it would bring me back to the title screen and everything like that. That's not something you as a streamer. It's embarrassing. It's not your fault, but you don't want technical issues when you're streaming. And that was the main reason why I kind of gravitated away from 76 right off the bat. Other than the fact it was completely broken, a lot of things just didn't work. A lot of things worked improperly. Storage. Anybody that watches my streams, especially my Bethesda streams, I'm a pack rat. I'm getting over encumbered every 15 seconds. You're going to give me an online storage of 400 that that's not going to work well for me. But since then it's been brought up to 800, and now we're getting to the point where people want more storage. But some of the big problems were the griefing. Even though there's a wanted system in 76 that's going to allow you to, you can go ahead and kill this person, but then there's going to be a bounty on your head on the map, so anybody can hunt you down and get that bounty. So that was a good deterrent. But I think the fact that what really started the bad PR was Bethesda refusing refunds to people. That made people really dislike the company. Some people have come back and haven't. The turning point for 76 was back in May of this year. Remember when they should have originally released this with the Wild Appalachian update, the Wild Appalachia. And what that did was really corrected a lot of the bugs, made things run a little bit smoother, had a little bit more options and everything like that. And then another good thing was before the good thing was the bad thing, they released Elder Scrolls Blades. And everybody, since it was, I believe it was E3 2018 when Todd Howard mentioned it, there's going to be a mobile game, Elder Scrolls Blades. I was looking forward to it for a year and a half. Almost a year and a half. And it's a paywall timer, microtransaction heavy, pay to win type game, which is an instant turnoff, because now you're looking at a company that really released something that shouldn't have been released. Had a lot of PR troubles trying to make up for it by doing free updates instead of what was probably going to be DLC. Okay, so we're good there, but it almost seems like they changed things with Elder Scrolls Blades to really kind of compensate for what 76 could have been taking in but wasn't. I don't know if you've ever played what was it called? It's not Clash of Clans. It actually is Clash of Clans.
I've only watched people play it. I haven't played it myself.
It was Clan Royale. I can't remember. Clash Royale.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, it is Clash Royale. You play against other players, and you have different types of cards, and you got to destroy the person's castles and everything like that. If you win, then you get a little treasure chest, and there's 3 spots for it. And then you go ahead and activate one at a time, and it takes anywhere from 6 to 12 hours for it to open up, so you can get another card and hope it's a rare card and everything like that. Or you can pay in-game currency, which you can buy with real money to expedite the process. But if you get 3 slots full, you're shit out of luck, because now you're getting these giant chests, you're getting these golden chests, you're getting these super duper extra deluxe special chests, and you can't have them because you don't have any slots. So it forces people. It's actually a pretty brilliant money-making scheme if you get the right person that's like, I just have to do this right now. Blades kind of adopted that same type of model, and I think that really left a bad taste in people's mouths again. But
especially coming from a company like Bethesda that has always, they put out like games that don't have no microtransactions, have no paywalls or anything like that, and all of a sudden now we have 2 games that are heavy on microtransactions. Kind of strange. Yeah,
it makes you look at them sideways for sure, especially over the past few years, when you can look at Bethesda and say, what, they are really focused on what the community wants. If you look at reports online, Fallout 4, Bethesda's watching you play Fallout 4. They're asking for your feedback. They're watching you play it so they can say, okay, these 94% of these players do this, or they spend 8 hours a week building their settlement, or they spend 20 hours in a week doing side quests, and that's how they get their data back. And that's what they were doing during the beta for 76. What are people doing in our games? And it's really been a very consumer-centric company. And now all of a sudden it's kind of like, well, you guys bought the game. I'm sorry you think it doesn't work. We're going to make it work. But you're stuck with it. One thing that really bothered me, and it was a tongue-in-cheek comment that Todd Howard made in, I think it was actually it was in 2018 E3 during their Bethesda, their BE3. He was talking about the bugs in a in a tongue-in-cheek, joking manner, and people laughed in the crowd and whatnot. But I always said it in the early days of my streaming was, oh, Bethesda, you guys are silly with your bugs, ha 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 ha. It's like we laugh about it because it is funny when you swing a sword at a guard in Skyrim, and off in the background, because you did that, or if you shout at a guard, all of a sudden a horse in the background goes flying into the sky, into the night, or into the clouds. Yeah. Or then 5 minutes later falls back down on the castle and dies. I mean, that's funny stuff. But I remember my eldest son playing Skyrim a while ago. He was getting into it. He was really enjoying it. He was actually doing the Thieves Guild. And this was when I really started getting upset with the bugs. Played the Thieves Guild, got all the way to the end of the Thieves Guild side quest storyline, and the game broke on him. And he was at a point where he was saved and couldn't back up far enough that it could hopefully fix itself. Mm-hmm. That was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. He has not played it since, and he's missing out. I mean, but I can't say as I blame him. I don't like the bugs that break the game, and I don't really necessarily. I'm not offended. I'm not one of the people that are like, oh, well, that's offensive. But I don't really appreciate a tongue-in-cheek joke coming from the director of these games saying, oh, and I know we got bugs, just to get a cheap laugh out of the crowd. If you're making if you have time to make jokes about it, you have time to fix it. They really need to do a better job with polishing their games. That's the only problem, I think. Even like I said, just the holidays and graphical errors, and that stuff's funny from time to time. But there are things that just absolutely destroy the game, and you can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. The only reason why they get away with it is because the games are so massive and you can make so many different choices. But I think that's a real problem that they really need to seriously identify, and let's cut down on the jokes there. But
yeah, I had a similar situation happen in Fallout 3 where I was playing one of the DLCs, and the last save that I had was at the end of the game after the credits had run, and it saved right there. And then the next save was during the DLC. You had to go through a door, and every time I would go through that door, it would just get stuck in the loading stage. Oh. So I backtracked all the way to the beginning of the DLC, and when I tried to go through that door, it also decided to bug out on me every time. So I don't think I actually played the game after that. That was on Xbox 360, and I was like, I've invested how many hours into this game, and this is going to stop me right here? Like, I can't even imagine how much time your son put into Skyrim before getting to that Thieves Guild. Like, it had to be over 50 hours or so, right?
Oh, it was probably around that, sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where it can just ruin... Now, that ruined his game. It didn't just ruin the Thieves Guild. There was no way out. Mm-hmm. So his game was shit at that point. You can't go backwards because that's locked off because you had a boss fight and there's just no way out. There was no way out of the top because there was no way to get up to that point to get out of that room. So it was just a complete dumpster fire. Everything he had done, and remember what I said earlier, you can't earn time back. If you're taking that kind of time and spending it playing a game, yeah, you had fun, but now you just wasted it, because if you really want to get back to that, you're going to spend that amount of time again. Yeah. So that's a problem. And my son's the type of person who's like, no, I'm done. No second chances. And I get that. I respect that.
So let's talk about something a little bit more positive here. Sure. Let's talk about your hopes and dreams for Fallout 5. Where do you want it to be based? What do you want to see new with the game and improved with the game as well?
Fallout 5. Yeah, I haven't really put much thought into Fallout 5. It's we're so focused on Fallout 76 right now. You immediately think there's no way they're ever going to make another Fallout again, because they're just crazy if they do. But I mean, of course they're going to. we've seen it in we've seen it in DC. We've seen it in my hometown, Boston. We've seen
Boston.
it in Boston. We've seen it in West Virginia. We've seen it in Las Vegas. We haven't seen it in, let's not do it in Florida. Let's just say, all you got to do is just make it rain all the time and never stop and make it humid as shit and get a bunch of alligators in there. We're good. It might be interesting to see it in, somewhere else. We're always in the United States with these games. Why not something like the Amazon? Or why not something like a post-apocalyptic Europe, or Russia, or something like that, just to see that point of view. I know that it was the United States that was attacked, but you can always add to the storyline. And you know what? If you're getting blown up like that, South America is definitely not out of the question to be affected by that, at least to some extent, or at least Central America. It would be kind of interesting
to see. The British are enjoying their tea while the nuclear fallout comes around. There's like, oh yeah, it's just over in the United States.
Exactly. But I mean, you could always have a different point of view in a different location like that. I mean, you could do New York. I mean, that would be a massive game. You could do Los Angeles. It would be interesting to see something if they were going to keep it in the United States, which they most likely are, because they're not going to change any law or anything like that. Maybe something centralized in the U.S. We've been out west. We've been on the East Coast pretty much, save for West Virginia. But why not something like in Ohio or Iowa or Indiana or some area like that? I mean, you got Indianapolis. It's got to be like a major city, right?
Yeah.
Even though, wild Appalachia is not a city, it's more of a region. It would be kind of interesting to see something centralized, like right in between where Vegas is and where Boston is.
What kind of gameplay elements should they take away from Fallout and put into Fallout? All things considered, throughout the whole series, even 76, what do you think they're going to go multiplayer again? Do you think they're going to take it out? What do you think?
I think it would behoove them to make it a single player game. So the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that stands true. I mean, when Fallout 4 came out, it was wildly unpopular because it didn't really have the feel that 3 had, or especially that New Vegas had. I mean, everybody thinks that a lot of people think that New Vegas is the best one, but I kind of disagree with that. I was partial to 3. Mm-hmm. I loved 4 the second it came out. I really did. I loved the functionality. I loved the engine. The biggest complaint that I could possibly have about any Fallout game before Fallout 4 was how clunky it felt with the controls. It moved slow. You couldn't run. I'm being chased by a Deathclaw. Trust me, that game's not going to keep up with how goddamn fast I'm running. But right. There was no running in that. But I just thought that 4 was phenomenal. I think one thing that made 4 so popular was the settlement building. I wasn't wildly popular to it with it wasn't partial to it. Can't talk today. Because I have like OCD when it comes to symmetry, and there's no snap grid. If they do another settlement build, which I'm sure they will, because they've made a lot of money off of that. People have spent countless hours building their settlements. It would be nice to be able to have a snap grid to make sure that everything is symmetrical. And if I had a snap grid on 4, I'd have a damn city right in the middle of my game. Yeah. But I have a hard time with it being off center and off kilter and a little friggin' crack, in my floor so I can see the street under it. No, not my thing. But it's not about me. It was very, very popular. People do all kinds of different build videos and stuff on YouTube. Some people, even in our community, have phenomenal builds. But I will say that was a very popular thing. I think that's something that should come back over. People complained that it wasn't multiplayer when it came out. So Bethesda's like, okay, here's 76, and people are like, what the fuck is this? And I'm sorry, you can edit that out if you want to.
No, it's okay. It's okay to swear here.
All
We're
right.
past the 10-minute mark, so YouTube won't know.
There we go. That's true. People are like, well, what is this? I don't think that people had an MMORPG type build in type game in mind.
Yeah, they were probably thinking just 4 players on the same map.
Exactly.
Able to do missions together, not like
I'm
everyone's
thinking
here.
exactly. I'm thinking storyline cooperative play, because that is a lot of fun. That is the success in a nutshell of Borderlands and Borderlands 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can get on and you can play together. You do quests together. I really think that's what people wanted when it came to a multiplayer Fallout. I think that there will be some cooperative online play in the next one. I don't necessarily agree with online-only games, but that's a different discussion for a different time, obviously. Because what happens when the game stops making money? The servers get shut off, and then you've got an unplayable game. So
exactly.
That's that's another podcast, dude.
Yeah.
But so we won't get into that. But I really think that having that cooperative play should play an element in the next Fallout for sure. I like the side quests and whatnot. I would like to see a little bit more diverse side quests rather than going to Sanctuary and getting the same quest over and over again to go destroy super mutants. It would be nice to have some storylines alongside. I mean, if you look at the DLC, Far Harbor was fantastic. It had its own little storyline. It'd be nice to have a couple different, even the Silver Shroud quest line in Fallout 4 was great. It's just a little tiny mini story that spurs from the main storyline, instead of Preston Garvey saying, "Well, you're our general, you're the leader, but go kill these guys." Great job. Thank you much. Guess what? Another settlement that's under attack. I'll mark it on your map. You can literally do that for 1,000 hours,
right?
And it will never stop. It would be cool to see some more Radiant quests and everything like that. Doing those settlement builds, not the settlement builds, but those settlement saving quests from Preston, great way to level up and grind and whatnot, but not really. It doesn't really hold my interest in after a while. Skyrim does the same thing, but with Skyrim, they've got the Thieves Guild, they got the Dark Brotherhood, they've got the Civil War quest. It would be nice to see some extra, maybe guilds or factions that have those own storylines that doesn't necessarily take you down the path of the main storyline. Now, I said that because there are people, that are going to be listening to this podcast saying, "You idiot! They've got the Brotherhood of Steel, they got the Railroad." That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about little one-off quest lines with different factions that do not alter the outcome of the final game.
Yeah. That sounds like a good idea. Is it
on paper?
Yeah. Is it going to be implemented? We'll have to wait and see on that one.
That would be
podcast. Cool. All right, Maz. Well, I appreciate you coming on, talking streaming and Bethesda. I know we were wanting to swing more to Bethesda, but I think your opinions on streaming and how that all works is very interesting. So we let you blather on there. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys want to catch Maz live, he streams on Mixer at MazTech_gaming. He's doing Black Flag right now. He's always doing Skyrim or Fallout or something like that, just because they're your favorite games, right?
My favorite games, and really we've built this amazing community off of those. But it's like we said, play it because it's fun for you. That's what you want to do. But Skyrim is by far and away that's my home game. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait for the next Elder Scrolls to come out to see how that does.
Yeah. So yeah. You can follow him on Twitter too at MazTech Gaming, and you can also go to YouTube as well. It's MazTech. Maz, we have a running gag on the podcast where you have to ask. Well, you don't have to, but you can ask Mr. Predicto a yes or no question, and he will answer as honestly as he can.
Ooh. That is a tough question. Ooh, let's see. Any question?
Any yes or no question?
Let me start over there. Will the next Elder Scrolls be better than Skyrim?
Ooh, that's a tall order, but let's see what Mr. Predicto says. Will the next Elder Scrolls be better than Skyrim?
Definitely not.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Definitely not. So that he's for sure on that one.
Well, that's okay because they've got some huge shoes to fill.
Well, like I always say, Mr. Predicto is right about 50% of the time. So we shall see on that one as well. All right, Maz. Well, do you have anything else you want to say before we ship off to Boston?
Heading off to Boston, absolutely. No, I really appreciate you having me on. This is my third time on your podcast, so I really appreciate it. You've always been a good friend to me since we met, and I really appreciate everything you do. And anything you need in the future, let me know. Thank you for having me again.
Hey, not a problem, Maz. I appreciate you as well. All right. Well, hey, that has been this episode of YemmyCast, a video game podcast. If you want to, you can catch it live on Sundays at 9:30 a.m., just like this one, which is the premiere. And also, you can catch it on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time as well. You can catch them all on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts the same exact day. So I don't need no brand loyalty. Just go where you want to go, guys. All right, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with
Maztec Gaming.
And this has been YemmyCast, a video game podcast.